Hi, my name is Michael Luubert. I'm a software developer in the education and research group at Esri Canada, where I work on 3D GIS projects. I'll be showing one of these projects, a CityEngine SketchUp extension that lets you use rule packages in the software for generating your models. So the extension has been published to this GitHub repository. Under the first step of the instructions, you can download the installer by clicking here. And one thing to note is that the versions of SketchUp that are compatible with the extension are 2017 to 2021, and only Windows is supported. So clicking on the executable to run it, you'll see the license. And once you go through the license, you can see the versions of SketchUp that are installed on your machine. So you can install it for one or all, or any combination of versions you have. I've already installed it, so I'm going to cancel the installer and switch over to SketchUp to demonstrate the extension. So under extensions, if you click the Show CityEngine window after you've run the installer, you'll see a dialog that has a drop down for the rule packages. So 3 rule packages are included in the installer. I'll show you later how to add more rule packages, but we'll start by just using the wind turbine. So you'll need a start shape, just like you do in CityEngine when you generate your models. So I've just created a rectangle here. One thing to note is that the orientation of the shape has to be so that the white side is facing up, so you can select the face and click reverse faces. And the reason it has to be the white side is because when we're dealing with initial shapes that are 3D, generally the white face is facing outward. So that's where, if this was a building, let's say the textures would be generated. So the same idea with just the 2D shapes. If you want to generate from the ground up, it should be the white face up. So I'll select that face again, and now I click generate, and it'll use the default attribute values to generate the wind turbine. I can Control Z to go back to that shape and tweak some of those attributes. So for example, I can take the pull height and increase that, and maybe decrease the blade length, and select the initial shape again, click generate, and you can see we have a wind turbine with different dimensions. So I'm going to show you next using a 3D shape. So this color mouse by orientation is a simple rule that just colors the faces based on which way they're facing. So in this case, I'm just going to create a 3D shape that has a sloped top, and then a flat top and a side. So when I select it, they should all be colored. When I generate it, they should all be colored differently. I'll just change the colors here to blue for horizontal, leave red as the slope color, and then for the vertical color, I'll change that to a green. I click generate, you can see the faces have been colored. So this rule probably isn't very much used if you're modeling things in SketchUp, but I'm going to show you how you can add in more rules, so you can create more complex models for your in SketchUp. So of course you can create your own rule packages in CityEngine, or you can download ones on ArcGIS Online. We've actually created a site called 3D City Model Resources, which has a collection of rules from ArcGIS Online that may be useful. You can see we have the Taj Mahal, which was listed on is one of the rule packages that is included with the installer, but there's many more. A lot of them have been created by Esri and have been published ArcGIS Online. So the download link for each of the rules just brings you to ArcGIS Online. So I'll download this building shell with detail, which we'll use in SketchUp. But in addition, you can also view the CGA code behind the rule. So this is for a cabin, and on the left you can see the CGA code behind that cabin rule. You can actually click on keywords just to get an idea of the help. On the right, the help appears and will update depending on the keyword that's clicked. So here you can get the syntax for the texture command. There's also videos for some of these rules as well, which are generally YouTube links. In addition to the rule packages, there's also other assets that we've published onto the site. So textures, there's all sorts of textures. You can see the different categories here. Some of them have these B or P indicators on them, which just means that it includes additional maps, which can be used in CityEngine when you're texturing an object in a rule, let's say. So this texture I've loaded here, for example, I think has a bump map, which if I zoom in, you can probably see, which adds a bumpy surface to it. If I increase the light, and as I increase the bump level, you'll see it adds some roughness to the surface. So these textures can be downloaded. Those be downloaded as a zip. In addition to the textures, though, we have 3D models. So those can be previewed here just by clicking on them and viewing them. Generally, they're divided into buildings, props, street furniture, so benches or bus shelters. Right now, recreation just has skateboard ramps, but we want to increase the number of models that could be of use. Infrastructure, fences, light poles, and traffic 3D models. Then at the bottom of the site, we have links to tutorials for CityEngine and other Esri software that deals with 3D, links to CityEngine videos, and other 3D model sites that may be of use. And at the very bottom, there's a form you can fill out if you want to submit a rule that you've created, that you've published to ArcGIS Online, and you want to add to the collection of rules we have on the site. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you have any rules, if you're interested in doing that. So I'm going to go back to the SketchUp extension and show you how you can bring in this building shell RPK. So this folder, C drive program file, program data, SketchUp RPK, is where the SketchUp extensions look for the different rule packages. So you can see the 3 here that are installed by default. I'm going to drag in the additional rule we just created. So this is how you do it to add in your own rule packages. Just copy and paste the files into this directory. And then if you already have SketchUp open, that change won't be reflected. The additional rule won't be there until you restart it. So I'm just going to do that now. And then we can look at the building shell rule. Okay. Now I open the CityEngine dialog. You'll see that additional rule, and this one is a lot more detailed. Has many more attributes that are available, and it works with a 3D initial shape. So I'll start with just a simple block building. fairly large. Select all the faces, click generate, and actually I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because this rule works best when it has space to add in details like balconies. So let's try that. There we go. So you can see there's awnings on the first floor, balcony details, and you know, you can go just beyond a rectangular building. We could create a cylinder, for example, as our start shape, and create a pretty interesting building. I'll change some of the attributes. So I'll change the walls to red brick, windows from green to blue. Generate the building, and yeah, you can see we have an interesting looking building here. One also thing to note is you can have multiple buildings selected, or multiple start shapes, I guess. So here I'll create some hexagonal buildings and extrude them. This one I'll once I've done that, I can select them. Make sure I get all the faces, and I'll change it from a red brick to brown. Maybe change the roof. And when I generate this, we have some interesting looking buildings. So it's a quick way to get some models into SketchUp, depending on what rules you're using. That's pretty much the workflow for this extension. And just to note, all these are brought in as components in SketchUp. So you can see, because I created those buildings together, they're all grouped as one component. So you'd have to go and split them later if you wanted to select the individual buildings, to split them out of the components. The bit.ly link points to the CityEngine SketchUp extension, a GitHub repository where you can download the extension and find the README. And the second link points to the 3D City model resource site, which I showed, where you can find rule packages, 3D models, and textures. So thank you so much for attending the presentation. I hope some of what you've seen can be useful in your 3D projects.